Thousands of years ago, an original culture which revered nature was born in the nomadic society in the very center of Eurasia, within the limitless steppe among high mountains and lakes. It appeared as a result of the merging of the cultures of Mongolian and Turkic people, and later it was enriched by elements of Islamic and Persian worldviews. During that period, Kazakhstan did not exist as a state. However, a centuries-old cultural community had already been formed. The term Kazakh, which means free, appeared later in the 14th, 15th centuries. As a result of a passionate yearning for defining the position of this culture among other cultures, with which they had something in common and at the same time were different, it became necessary to unite many tribes of the steppe into something integral and united on the basis of the similarity of behavior, language, the Turkic language, and places of residence. So, before the state appeared, a free nomadic culture existed, which was based on the practical knowledge of reality and spiritual concepts in quite difficult conditions of permanent movement in expanse and time. The modern Kazakh literature began to develop in the beginning of the 20th duly forming, new century. During this period modern Kazakh language was gradually forms appeared. Kazakh writers began to master new genres. One of the outstanding authors in the literature of the beginning of the 20th century, Aeka.Nazeka. He devoted himself to pedagogical and literary activity. His first work was the translation of Krylov's Fables, the collection of poems. He wrote some articles about the Kazakh language history of world literature. He was called the greatest poet among the Kazakh missal, published several times, was very popular among Kazakh people. He wrote some articles about the Kazakh language. The name of Obay Kunanbayev, 1845–1904, was written with golden letters in the Cossacks. He shared his thoughts and sympathies in the prosaic writing. Kara Soz Shakarim Kuday-Berganov was the son of Obay's eldest brother and, left without a father at the age of 6, was brought up by his great-uncle. Before the death, Obay sent his nephew on a journey about Turkey, Arabia, Egypt. Shakarim visited Mecca, Alexandria, and Paris. He learned Turkish, Arabic, Persian, had a perfect knowledge of Russian. He was in correspondence with the great Russian writer L. Tolstoy, translated Pushkin's novel Dubrovsky into Kazakh, the prose of L. Tolstoy, verses, written by Lermontov, Nekrasov, and Byron. He wrote the novel Chronicle of Kazakh Khans and philosophical treatise Mohammedani. Mukhtar Awazov, 1897–1961, is a distinguished Kazakh writer, playwright and statesman. He was born in Semey region of Kazakhstan. His writing career began with the play In Like Quebec, 1917, based on the folk legend of tragic love. During his life he wrote more than 20 plays, novels and a lot of short stories. The epic novel Obay is considered to be his best work. This novel had a great influence on Kazakh literature and was translated into many languages of the world. For his creative activity, this prominent Kazakh poet, educator and philosopher was awarded with State and Lenin prizes. The Great Steppe was an arena for foreign invasions for many centuries, which led to the destruction of a multitude of medieval towns and architectural objects. Among the objects that remained are the Yasawi Mausoleum, Turkestan, 14th–15th centuries, which is included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. The Ascension Cathedral in Almaty, 1907, is included in the UNESCO Monuments List. The Palace of the Republic, Almaty 1970, architect N. Ripinski, and the Madu Complex, 1972, architects V. Katsev and Aeka.Nazeka, are world famous. An architectural renaissance started in Kazakhstan during the period of Japan. There were constructed such buildings as the Ak Order, the Residence of the Water Green Boulevard, K. Kurokawa, the Palace of Peace and Harmony, Pyramid Kazakhstan Central Concert Hall, 2009, architect M. Nicoletti, Italy, the near its independence. In Astana, the layout by architect K. Kurokawa, 1934–2007 President of Kazakhstan, K. Montarkayev, architect 1950–2009 Kazakhs 2006, the Khan Shatir Center, 2010, architect N. Foster, England, the Kazakhstan Central Concert Hall, 2009, architect M. Nicoletti, Italy, the Nur, Astana Mosque, 2005, architect Sage Kafiz, Lebanon, and a number of sport complexes built for the 2011 Asian Games. Dramatic art in Kazakhstan. Started in 1926 with the Yenlik Quebec performance based on M. Auazov's play, Kizilorda. In 1928, the theatre moved to Almaty. Kazakh theatres appeared in some regional centres in the 1930s. The Russian drama theatre was organized in Semipalatinsk in 1933 and later it was transferred to Almaty. The Uyghur theatre was opened there in 1934 and the Korean theatre was opened in Kizilorda in 1937. The puppet theatre was opened in Almaty in 1935 and the youth theatre was opened there in 1944. 1860 to 1900 is the period of the brilliant performances in the M. Auazov Kazakh Drama Theatre. The theatre director is A. Mambetov, the people's artist of the USSR. Among them there was The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. K. H. Bukiva and S. H. Amonov played the parts of Katharina and Petruchio in this performance. Mother's Field by Sage Aitmatov, where S. Makanova played the part of Tolganai, and The Cabal of Hypocrites by M. Bulgakov, where N. Sanchurin played the part of Molière. The Obai Kazakh Academic Theatre of Opera and Ballet opened in Almaty in 1934. The first opera in Kazakhstan was performed in 1936. Since then, about 50 operas and ballets have been written. The Berzin and Sarah opera Bim Tulabayev was the first performance in the K-Bayzaitova National Theatre of Opera. There are 50 theatres in Kazakhstan. Cinematography in Kazakhstan. Kazakhfilm is the only film company in and ballet in Astana, which is the youngest musical theatre in Kazakhstan. Now Kazakhstan. It was created in 1960 as part of the Almaty studio of newsreels, 1934. Now Kazakhstan makes 30 to 40 feature films, documentaries and cartoons annually. In 2006, Kazakhfilm started the People's Choice, Golden Collection of Kazakh Cinema campaign. 20 films out of 50 that were chosen by the audience have been restored. The leaders of the rating were Obai, Amirkulov, 1995, Enemy, Be Afraid of the Ninth Sun, V. Puzamanov, V. Chuganov, 1984, Blood and Sweat, A. Mambetov, Y. Mastugin, 1978, Zhambul, E. Dzigan, 1955, and the legendary Chokon, A. Ashimov, Tsoy Gukin, 1984. Kazakhfilm held a new documentary of Kazakhstan festival dedicated to the 20th anniversary of the independence of Kazakhstan in Almaty in March 2011. The I'm 20 years old film about the life of young people who are the same age as the independence of Kazakhstan, made by students of the Tzhagenov Kazakh National Academy of Art in Almaty, will be of great importance. There are about 70 states museums in Kazakhstan with exhibitions dedicated to culture, art and literature of Kazakhstan. The sounds of the steppes can be heard far and wide. Music has been an integral part of Kazakhstan's culture for centuries. Kazakhstan has taken pride in that its music cannot be duplicated anywhere else and is unique. While today Kazakhstan's music scene may be blasting popular music, mainly from the United States, it is taking cues on its traditional music and modernizing it to create something exciting, new, and unique to Kazakhstan. Plus, we got YouTube videos in this post to demonstrate. Kazakhstan music is focused around its national instrument, the dombra. A dombra S, we got is a 2-string long-necked lute-type instrument with 7 to 9 frets. The tear-shaped instrument is played with either 1, 2, or 5 fingers. When the dombra got started, the players were reminiscent of lute players. Of the middle dombra players wandered around Kazakhstan strumming their lutes, singing poetry as they walked around. The dombra became the focal instrument of Kazakhstan folk music. There are several types of Kazakh traditional music. When we say about Kazakh rational song, then 80s is very popular type of music. In other words, it is performance competition of two musicians who are called akin improvised, created words immediately against each other and sing about social political problems. Usually they accompanied music with traditional string instruments dombaya or kobis. Another type of song is called terme. Tameshi is the person who sing terme about morality of people, problems between rich and poor, good and bad people. They teach to be morally good. The art of kui is like a big branch of national art. It is musical composition performed in traditional instruments as dombira, kobis, sibithki, Shankobi Zetigen, etc. In Kui we can hear soul of the nation, sounds of nature and animals, braveness of men and beauty of girls. In conclusion, one of the important spiritual treasures of Kazakhstan, which was entrusted from generation to generation, is musical heritage. As one musicologist, Kui performed with great excitement, songs as Terme and 80s with emotion nd mysterious and lively melodies. Keys, songs and melodies which make Kazakh heart speaks and show their soul, sadness and joy, their dream and hope are like the monument presenting great image of nation's inspiration. At the present stage of development in Kazakhstan formed a branched structure of musical culture. Here everyone can find something that he liked. Along with performance and composer creation in European styles in the country continue to develop traditional forms of music making, operates the world a massive rock music and pop music, jazz, and the religious music of the world of concessions folklore and oral traditions of peoples living in Kazakhstan, the Uyghurs, Koreans, Germans, Dungan, Russian, Tatar. In the Republic performing collectives of various artistic profile, State Symphony Orchestra, the Kazakh folk instruments Kurmangezi, choir, folk dance ensemble, state quartet, pop ensembles, brass and as bands. Kazakhstan, home to many outstanding performers of classical worldwide, E. Serkabeva, B. Tuligenova, G. Esimova, A. Nishev, G. Kadirbekov, J. Orbakirova, Amu Zahodzeva and the Cradle of Stars, Uzykolnoy Kazakh diaspora abroad, M. Bysengorlieva, E. Kurmangaliev sisters Nakipeka VH. Today in the Republic is actively operating specialized children's music school named K. Bayzaitova and A. Zubanov, Almaty State Conservatory. Kurmangezi, National Academy of Music in Astana, the State Opera and Ballet. Abbey Kazakh State Philharmonic. This highly developed culture with a multi-layered structure was enriched with new knowledge and principles, which were typical of a settled lifestyle. The representatives of the nomadic ethnic groups of the steppe were not the exclusive members of this culture, since the representatives of other cultures also entered it. Since that moment, the culture has been developing as an original Kazakh one, which maintains the traditions, customs, language, etc., and as a culture of Kazakhstan, which includes the features of numerous nations, more than 130, residing today in the country. Today, the culture of Kazakhstan represents a complex of aesthetic values of the Kazakh people, conveyed in original and different spiritual and material forms. As a result of its nature, the culture provides us with the development and enrichment of creative potential and with an individual place in the family of national cultures,